Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming. I'm really excited about that. But in the meantime, I'm playing some GTA RP. Here are my pick for the top 3 public FiveM servers. Before we get into that, a little bit of a background. I'm new to roleplay. My first time roleplaying was after we finished Red Dead Redemption 2, the campaign. I said I would love to play Red Dead Online. Heard they were hackers. How bad can it be? Sure enough, I was getting griefed within like 5 minutes from a hacker. So forget Red Dead Online, I'm going to try out this Red M, or roleplay for Red Dead Redemption 2. I found a recommended server. It was great. My first time roleplay, fell in love with it. And really in 2024 is probably the most thing I played. So needless to say, I got hooked into the roleplay. And then I thought, you know what? Grand Theft Auto is one of my favorite games of all time. And well, I'm not going to do GTA Online because again, hackers. Now that's where it got a little difficult. In Red M, I was able to find a server right away. No issues, fell in love with it. In FiveM, that's a little bit difficult. Obviously, it's just completely different than Red Dead Redemption 2. A little more chaos, but I was hoping for something at least semi-serious, and it was hard to find. So I tried many FiveM servers, and I got the top 3 for you. But some of you might ask, why not a whitelist server? You'll get better RP there. And while I agree, many of them, particularly the popular ones, are really hard to get into. There was one server where I wrote like a Hollywood script with backstory and crafted character, and I still got denied. They wanted more from my character or something like that. So if I have a hard time getting into a whitelist server and I have 5 or 6, 7 friends that want to join me, forget about it. So that's why I shifted my focus from whitelist to public service to let me play with the crew. Before we get into the top 3, I've got a few parameters. Number 1, it has to be a public server, not whitelisted. Number 2, a fairly high population servers. No hate to smaller servers, I just prefer the high pop experience for something more immersive and alive. Number 3, bug free. I got a lot of recommendations to visit some servers, and when I did, they were just filled with bugs. It was hard to play. I got stuck in my starting apartment on one of them, and another one I lost all my money trying to do a job. Some of these recommended servers were a bit buggy, so those guys did not make the list. Number 4, serious RP. Servers that enforce RP rules and remove trolls if they break those rules. I've spent many hours in these servers, so I have a good sense of what they're all about. Starting at number 3, we have CityLife RP. This is a great starter server with interesting jobs and communities. I like it a lot. They did a big update in the summer of 2024, which really upped their game, and I feel like they're starting to compete with the higher tier servers. Let's talk about some cons, though. I feel like some of their jobs are buggy, particularly co-op trucking. Trucking with friends doesn't seem to ever work for me. And I know this is weird to say, but we're talking about a serious RP server. There is a lot of crime. There's really very little police presence, EMS presence, and so you'll be walking out of the hospital, and there'll be a shootout, a stabbing, you'll get into a fist fight, which you don't see in other servers when there's more of an active police presence. For CityLife, I wanted a whitelist for a job, but I got no response. So there's some aspects to CityLife that are just quite not there yet, but still a good server. So my verdict is CityLife RP is great for beginners, but there are better options. That doesn't mean CityLife is bad, because obviously it's in the top 3 of my FiveM recommendations. Sitting at number 2, and by the way, 1 and 2 are really close to each other. It's like an Olympic race where one beats another by just like a millimeter of a second. They're that close. But standing at number 2, a fantastic server I highly recommend and I like to play in, HighLife Roleplay. The city feels alive because of its high population. For the most part, there's a good EMS and police presence. They're quick to respond to support tickets as well as white job applications. The balanced RP is fun with criminal and civilian jobs, and the server is stable. With almost 400 players playing on the server, very minimal bugs, if any. There's a few minor things that I think HighLife could do better, but one of the major cons, and I know it to be fair, I don't know if it's actually a con, because it's about the long queues. If you don't get in before lunchtime or right after lunchtime, you're going to be waiting a while as a free player. Now, you can pay to skip the queue, and if you like HighLife, then it's worth it for sure. The only other complaint I have is that it doesn't encourage player interaction for the most part, like number 1. We'll talk about that in a second. But my verdict for number 2 is that HighLife is a fantastic server, minor limitations, keeping it from the top spot. And ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 spot for FiveM roleplay server in Grand Theft Auto is Lucid City RP. Lucid City is my pick for the best public FiveM server. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Lucid City. First of all, good population without long queues yet. And here is why I feel, for me, it makes it number one, is the connected player economy. It forces meaningful player interaction. For example, I can go diving for some metal, come back and sell that to a mechanic. Perhaps I sell that to a gun shop. It feels like more of a connected economy, like I experienced in Red Dead 2. The design of the server just seems to cultivate community. So the player connected economy, you could go work for a gas station that's run by real players. So it feels like you're a part of a community. It feels like the economy is at work and it matters. So ultimately, it's a culture that encourages collaboration and teamwork. It makes the city feel alive and not just a collection of passing players. So let's talk about some cons. Well, I think that the police and EMS presence is just okay. Not as good as HighLife, but definitely better than CityLife. It could be stronger. I haven't applied for a whitelist job yet, so we'll see if they're good at responding about that. But the verdict for me is Lucid City focused on player connections, sets it apart, making it the most immersive FiveM public server in Grand Theft Auto. What do you think, guys? What server do you play on? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments.